Can't see, it's too smoky.
You know what they say about soot? At least you can reverse all right.
What do you think, Alan?
About what?
Probably not the right way to install water injection, huh?
Watered air intercooler for the win.
Welcome back to the Skid Factory. This is my 2010 Mitsubishi Pajero. If you didn't see the previous episode, this is my replacement for my daily driver. I've done a bunch of work on this thing already. What was the lemon? No, we didn't call it a lemon. What did we end up calling it? Just a general piece of crap. It was going okay until I went forward driving, went into a puddle, got stuck, and I've got a hole in my intercooler. I left it idling, it filled up the intercooler full of water, and it sucked in a bunch of water and bent a rod, which I only assume it's bent a rod. 99% everything points to that.
It doesn't sound great.
I'm going to do a compression test on it before anyway, just to kind of diagnose it, probably pull the sump off it in this episode. This is the engine that I purchased from a wrecker in Brisbane. He had quite a few engines, and because I'm a tight ass, this was only $1,000, and I went, yeah, cool, everything kind of looks okay still on it, bar the engine cover that's melted on it, and don't laugh, Alan. This engine actually could be buggered too. I really don't know. My main concern with this engine would be that someone's ruined it, and they've done a dodgy insurance claim by setting their car on fire and claiming insurance, which is a common thing for people to do, so I'm told.
Is it?
Yeah, apparently it is. But anyway, this has only got 100,000 Ks on it apparently. This is going to be the replacement engine. I am going to be using stuff like alternator aircon stuff. I'm actually just going to try to leave on there to see if it works. I've got a bunch of spares anyway, so it is what it is. The turbo, probably, I don't know. I know mine's good. This one feels fine anyway, so probably just going to leave everything on there and do as minimal work as I can. So, what do you reckon, Alan? Get stuck into it?
I reckon the lazy mechanic does the most work.
Yeah, that's right. Must have been clean one point in its life. Oh, there's that. I lost that. I've removed the glow plug on number 1 cylinder. That's how you do compression test on a diesel engine, is to remove the glow plugs.
If it's got them.
Well, if it's got them, yeah. The other way is injectors, I suppose.
Yeah,
but
you would hate life if you had to pull the injectors out of the Cummins and do it when they're inside the tappet cover.
This motor is 100% cactus. I know that it's making some funky noises, but my main thing is just kind of diagnosing and confirming which cylinder it is. I don't think it's number 1, judging that glow plug's still got covered in soot, so I would probably think the glow plug would be clean if it's had water blasted all over it. So if you crank it over, this might not even work, I don't know. Dog, watch out, dog. Righto. It's like 300 PSI, just shy of, so it's not that cylinder. Yeah? Do you know what these are meant to be? Alright.
Seems reasonable.
Maybe someone can comment.
Seems reasonable for a 15-to-1 compression engine.
4M41T spec for compression, so cylinder number 2. Let's find out what that is. Righto. 300?
300? Maybe it's supposed to be 600.
Could be.
Let me Google it. Right.
Right on. $300. Number 4 is the magic number then. That'll make sense. Cylinder 4 at the back. Get the gut full.
What's your eyeballs?
Yep. $120.
I'm gonna need about $350.
All right, so get out. Hope that engine's all right though.
It'll be right.
At least I've got 3 spare rods.
It looks mint. Next time we do a compression test, whichever one you think it is, go to the other end and it's probably that one.
Yeah, it's always the last one you check.
Save us doing all of them.
With the compression test confirming the motor's cooked, the rest of the parts can be removed so the engine can be pulled out and taken to the wreckers.
Hey, bit of water, huh?
Where'd that come from?
That's from the puddle. Don't film this.
I'm here to document, bro.
When you can't get that bolt undone, use a lever.
I want to see you bashing the shit out of the car with that.
Use the car as a lever. No, I'm going to lower the spanner, the car and the spanner down onto this. And in theory, you should go. The logic?
Strength testing.
Come down. Wait. Yeah, keep going. Keep going. Whoop. Go back up. Whoop. Back up. Back up. Keep going. Can the gearbox come higher? If you jump onto Facebook Marketplace, you can find this engine, 4M41T. It needs rebuilding. It's a core. So number 4 bent rod, no good to us. Going in the bin and going to be swapping over that engine. Everything necessarily that needs to be swapped is going to get swapped over. Pro tip, if when you're removing the engine, disconnect the heater hoses. Does everyone in Australia have dual zone heater?
All the ones I've seen have had it, but
Yeah.
they might, who knows.
The heater hoses goes down and do a U-turn and split off into 5 different locations and then come back up along the top of the bell housing. So we forgot that. It's like a bit of a guitar
I didn't
string.
forget it, but you couldn't get at it.
Yeah,
so
I forgot about
you
it.
can't get at the ones that are on the engine, so it's a really bad idea. So I suggest that we rid it of reheater because we just don't need it here. You don't even need a front heater where we live.
No, not really. We have 2 weeks of the
maybe
year.
2 days a year. You don't get out of bed early enough to need it anyway.
How do you know? I'm on the computer at 5:30 in the morning, dude.
Sure.
Editing your fat ass on camera.
Stories.
We also removed the oil filter too because it was catching on the cross member. Alan did mention maybe to drop the front diff down when we're going back in, just so we can...
We pulled it out brutally, but we can't do that when we put it back in because it's going to have a fresh clutch and everything, and you can't afford to damage anything. Yeah, so it's pretty common to have to pull the front diffs out of any of these sort of modern IFS cars when you pull the engines out, just because the diff's always in front of the sump and always in the way. But we'll figure something out in between now and then.
That's it. So this is now going to go on an engine stand. We're going to swap everything over from hot swap. Go and see Old Cock.
Firstly, we're going to peel all the plastic off.
Yeah,
the
that's
other
going to be a
engine.
mission. Go see Old Cock to clean this up. Throw it in the dishwasher. And then smash it back in the car.
When you get a clutch.
When I get a clutch tomorrow. Maybe the next day. It's coming from Brizzy, so tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Should be there now.
Yeah, probably. No, it wasn't ordered early enough. Anyway, let's go. Oh, that is cooked.
Rough on the gear.
You can machine this for me.
I've taken a big gamble purchasing a fire-damaged engine, but truth be told, I'm a tight ass and stoked that I've saved myself $1,500. Unfortunately, not everything goes to plan, and once we've removed the valve cover, we found some corroded camshafts and a dislodged rocker arm.
Ooh, it's been sitting for a bit.
Has been. Bar that. I didn't see that.
I wonder how long that's been like that. She's properly wedged in there.
Oh, I need some torch light action. Dang.
Just blinded myself.
So, what's the verdict, Alan? Looks like I'm swapping cams over.
You are swapping cams over because they're rotten as anything.
I wonder if that's a valve clearance thing then, maybe. Nah, they usually would tighten up and loosen. Maybe that's why Mitsubishi want them done every 30,000.
Yeah, they're pretty floppy.
It looks clean from the oil cap, but it's been sitting for a while. That's bad. I'm sure that that would probably just clean off. But
Got you $1,000 worth.
yeah. I kind of wish I did just buy that other engine now, but
Oh well. You got $1,500 to play with, haven't you?
I can afford a clutch now. So now we've got to strip that engine. This is the extent of stripping this, bar the harmonic balancer, because that one's new. And I'm leaving vacuum pump and power steer pump. I'm just going to leave on the engine. The vac pump does look a bit schmutzy, but all it does is power a couple of solenoids. So
Yeah, it's got nitrogen, like power brake thing, module. Like a
nitrogen?
nitrogen charge, yeah.
That's it.
So it doesn't use a vacuum. That thing just makes two solenoids work, and one of them's not there anymore.
There's two forward drive ones, and then there's the inlet manifold one.
Because we also discovered that that inlet manifold's got a runner system inside it that closes every second inlet port, and they use it to, I don't know whether it's to make low end power or to make the EGR flow better or whatever, but that was a problem. My 2008 model that I took around Australia, that was the problem I had with it. When you put a massive load on it, something was going on with that system, and I ended up having to tie it open, so it just used all the ports. Otherwise it would die when you were trying to lug the caravan up a big hill. So they've obviously just deleted it altogether, which is, and a Mitsubishi tech actually told me to do that, because that was the way they diagnosed whether that was the issue or not. It just felt like zero power, which could have been anything, but it turned out to be that. So I wired it open and then drove it all the way like 20,000 k's around Australia afterwards, never had a problem. So they learnt. So we'll use this manifold because it's got no runners in it.
give it a clean.
Give it a clean up.
Should I be taking the front
Fix
cover
that.
off to do timing chain stuff so we can change the cams over?
No, you should be able to just pull that out and wedge it and
Or old school
like a Datsun.
yeah, throw a chunk of wood in there. Really?
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, sure. Alright, you want to take that engine apart now?
No. I'm working on my patrol.
1 month later.
Never ends.
Accessories like the alternator and air conditioning compressor from the original engine are being used, as it's confirmed they work, unlike parts from the wrecker engine. While the inlet manifold is removed, we're taking advantage of cleaning the intake ports with some Scotch-Brite and carbon cleaner. This is done while the inlet valves are closed, so no schmutz drop down into the engine. The camshafts are then cleaned up and swapped over, and the cam caps torqued to spec.
Okay, I popped in to see Oldcock and got the inlet manifold cleaned. We are using the inlet manifold that was off this engine. As Alan said before, the old NT 2010 has a sort of dual runner flap, I suppose is what you call it, yeah? I didn't film any cleaning it. It's a really messy job. It's a pain in the ass. There's heaps of videos online about that too. Also, Mr. Pajero on Facebook has got heaps of videos. Rudy does heaps of really nice videos. I got inside the inlet ports with some Scotch-Brite and some carbon cleaner and cleaned them right up. It's actually looking schmicko in there.
The floors are not looking schmick.
The floor is pretty dirty. Swapped the cams over from the other engine. This exhaust cam had rust, surface rust on it. I tried to clean it up. It was actually, the cam, all the lobes are pitted and some of them are right on top of the lobe, so not very cool. Swapped cams over, whole assemblies. Swapped all the injectors over. I was busy doing some valve clearances when the number 4 special guy back here that actually popped off screwed right down, and I thought, well, hang on, that's not cool. And then shoved, I've removed all the glow plugs on this one, shoved the air line down to number 4, and sure enough, the exhaust valve is stuck open. So I've had a bit of a bad afternoon, feeling pretty deflated. Alan keeps on giving me hugs and reassuring me that it's going to be all right. I was ready to buy another engine. But now I've got to pull the head off this one because...
Fortunately, we're 99% of the way there.
Yeah, so let's rip this head off and see and find bent rods in this one.
No. We'll be able to make one out of 2.
Alright, yeah, at least that is a positive, I suppose, yeah. Double everything.
Woody, 4M41 expert.
I will be after this.
Although it's a pain in the butt, sometimes these things happen, and in hindsight, I'm glad it was noticed while the engine was still removed, rather than finding out upon first startup. With the cam gears removed, the chain is held up with a zip tie to stop it from falling down the front cover. The cam caps, injectors, rocker arms and head bolts are then removed so the cylinder head can be lifted off and inspected.
What's the verdict?
The verdict is, if you ever wanted to see inside a 4M41, now's your chance. No cracked pistons, no bent rods. As it would appear, there was a tiny bit of surface rust in this bore there, probably because the valve's been stuck open for so long and the engine's been sitting, but that's nothing to worry about. We pulled the valve out, so I took the collets off, got the valve spring out, got the valve out. It's actually not bent, it's straight. I cleaned it up in the buff and it goes back in. free as
A valve.
free as a valve should be. But we're still going to go down and get this thing serviced, go see Steve at Marucci Cylinder Heads, get a skim valve job done while we're there, just for peace of mind. So I'm feeling a lot better about myself now. Before I was about to burst into tears. Alan was, I was losing my shit. But feeling a lot more reassured now that everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay, Alan. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah. You're not worried, are you?
No?
Okay. Valve job. And I can bolt it back on. We'll see you shortly. Okay, went and saw Steve at Marucci Cylinder Heads and got a quick head service done. He has replaced 2 valves due to them being pitted. One was pitted and the other one just didn't clean up. It's been sitting in carbon and been sitting in the open for God knows how long. So the cost of valves, Steve just replaced them. Once again, huge thanks to Steve. Such a quick turnaround. He told me it'd be at the end of the week and got it done the next day. So thanks so much. He also supplied a full gasket set and new head bolts and everything, new head gasket. And now we're ready to slap it back on. Not going to snap any camshafts and put it back in the car. Alan's smirking at me. Let's do it.
Following the correct tightening sequence is a definite must when it comes to cylinder heads, especially on those that use a stretch type bolt. The torque specifications are usually supplied with the VRS gasket kit or the head bolts. In this instance, we're tightening all the bolts to 50 Newton meters followed by 98.
14, 13. 1 count Dracula, 2 count Dracula. 12.
The bolts are then backed off in reverse order and then tightened back to 50 Newton meters plus 2 stages of 90 degrees. Using paint marks on the head bolts helps confirm that each bolt has been tightened correctly. The valve train can then be refitted in the reverse order of removal. The 4M41 still uses a mechanical adjuster for the valve clearance, which is being set before refitting the valve cover. I'm using the turbo from the fire damaged engine, however the VNT actuator was a bit melted, so it's being swapped over. Another modification being made is removing the rear heater lines and using some Z-hose to go from the engine straight to the firewall. These are insulated with some Raceworks fire sleeve to stop them from rubbing on the back of the head, causing them to wear through and burst. The flywheel has been machined to accompany the new heavy-duty clutch. The pivot pin in the bell housing is then removed using a slide hammer as it was seized solid, and explains why I was having so much trouble with my clutch since purchasing the car.
What you doing, Buffen? Oh, Gesundheit.
No wonder my clutch wasn't working, because this was bloody seized.
Everything was not working properly.
If you're going to drive through salt water, make sure you wash your car out properly.
Hang on, just don't drive through salt water.
All that, yeah, true.
I feel like people don't know that. You don't drive through the water at the beach. It's not why you're there.
What if you got to get to the pocket at DI though? What do you do then?
Well, you go, should I drive my $80,000 Hilux through the water, or should I find another way of getting there?
Well, if it's a lease vehicle, then you just go, yeah, sure, no worries, not my problem.
Well, I'm pretty sure this black Pajero owned by a 20-year-old wasn't a lease vehicle.
Back inside, I kind of hit fast forward on the refitting of everything because
Of all the rage.
it's just a 4M41. So what you didn't see is we got the engine in, we steered up all the bell housing bolts, and then it's got a pull type clutch, so I went to push the lever in and engage the throw-up bearing when it wasn't engaging, and turned out that the little ring that holds
This little thing here fell off.
clippity-clip thing. So we took the engine back out, took the clutch off, fixed that, put the engine back in, had the engine on the wrong angle, wasn't going in, took the engine back out, fixed that, went back in. Did we take it out a third time?
No, I don't know.
Actually, after that, it just kind of
I don't want to talk
slid
about
in.
it.
I've grabbed myself a Mexican lemon squash because it's now night time, and I'm very eager to get this thing started up because I'm pretty nervous about everything going wrong. That's just...
You do them bolts up?
Don't say that. It's the worst thing to say. I've just taken the injectors plugs back off. I'm going to crank it, get some oil pressure, and then connect up the injectors, fire it up. And if it doesn't fire up, I'm going to swear, rage quit, and go home. And then I'm going to send it to... Where does that go?
On the battery.
I'm going to send it to someone else to do it because I'm over it. Okay. Are you ready?
Oil pressure.
You got that intake thing off, eh? And the pipe. Oh. What was that?
Oil pressure, bro.
Yeah, I'm still cranking. Lights out. Ready? Diesel leaking down the side there?
Hey?
Diesel leaking on the injector lines? Ready to switch it off, I don't want to run it for too long. Bottom ones, you won't see the top ones leaking, they'll leak inside.
It's fine, bro.
One running 4M41T, done.
It was running before you drove it underwater. This is a lot of work for...
Oh, that is like such a relief. That first crank and it was like, do. It's like, oh no.
Well, that's this part of the circus done. The engine's back in there, or the new engine. Now we can move on to some performance upgrades, which is what this was supposed to be about the whole time. So we're going to do some intercooler stuff. Worth mentioning, most of the performance problems were from the blocked inlet manifold and inactive runner system on the original engine.
You don't reckon it's from the intercooler?
Normally the intercoolers don't cause a problem. I had one of these and did lots of Ks in it, never had an issue. It went like a train. But when they've been crushed from underneath, which this has, that is what happens to them when they get 4-bead hard. And you can see that most of the intercooler is no longer allowing cooling air through, but also the way these things work is boosted hot air comes from the turbo and goes in here, and then it comes out here after it's been cooled. But in this case, the water goes in here, and then it comes through and goes into the number 4 rod and the engine brakes.
Yeah, what about the other side? Is the other
so that hasn't been connected for very, very, very long time. This side also wasn't very well connected. It was a little bit better, but probably not much. So that's what we were talking about with stacked plate. It's like a nip and denso intercooler. So that's no longer going to be there. We're going to put a much larger intercooler in the front section. There's heaps of room there. The reason why these are mounted down low is because they try to split the cooling, so you're not having multiple stages of cooling on the way through to the radiator. So there is method to the madness, but they're just too susceptible to failure. So good idea to get rid of them. And next episode, we're going to show you how to. So
hang on. There's a lot more than just performance stuff. We got some like bit of 4B action, bit of camping stuff.
You really want to put it through 4B action again after the
yeah
destruction you...
Well, there's no muddy puddles is my rule of thumb now.
Well, it'll be muddy puddle proof by then, but I'm sure you'll find a way to wreck it.
And then we'll go camping with the patrol. And we can...
You won't know what to do with the clutch now that it's not virtually seized solid.
I won't have to turn my car off after selecting first to get it out of gear because it won't be stuck.
All the improvements. It's easy to improve on it when it's a friggin' train wreck.
Yeah, that's true. All right, cool.
We'll be back next week. More Pajero action. Thanks for watching.
What about new subscribers, Alan?
What about them?
Oh, they might not know about
Thanks for subscribing.
They might not know about the merch store or anything like that.
Didn't we just have an ad for Beanie?
What you got there?
Advanced rust protection.
Give me a look at it. How does that work, Alan?
It doesn't. It's a light. Decarb your engine, they said. It'll be fun, they said.
Mm-hmm. I can see, you know when you get stuff on your face and it goes black, as you can see.
I can see it on your face as well. Because it's
provisional?
all over your face.
What's that word?
The what?
Provision. Side vision?
Peripheral.
Peripheral, that one.
Not provisional.
Provisional.
English. It's for everybody. Except Woody.
If you're new to the channel, we do way more than just crappy Pajeros. We've built a pretty cool Cummins Power Patrol. You can watch those videos up here. We do stuff like drag cars. There'll be some videos up there. You can support us by buying some merchandise, and you can click here to subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.